Hello, I'm Coach Natalie, and welcome to another episode of Jiu Jitsu for Dummies. Today is episode 34, so of course we're going to focus on something that usually is taught the very first day of class, and I'm talking about, of course, shrimping. Now, shrimping is a way to, frame yourself away from, underneath someone else as a way to escape and, get to a better position. It's called a shrimp because when we do it properly, our body kind of bends in an L, kind of like a shrimp. It uses some of the concepts we've already talked about, creating distance, framing, leverage, that kind of thing. So let's check it out. Okay, shrimping. Now, if you're in a club where they learn shrimping, usually they'll have shrimp races. People will be on one side of the room and, shoot the firing gun, and people will shrimp across the room. It'll look like this. So that's how we might get a lot of practice shrimping. If you're in a small apartment, you can also practice shrimping in place. It'll look something like this. In any case, let's figure out exactly how do we shrimp. Now, when you're shrimping, you're going to have one foot flat on the floor. We're going to be posting on that foot. Second, we're going to be having our hands kind of pretending like we would be framing away from someone. We're going to also be keeping our elbows close into our body. The last thing we're going to be doing is pressing on our foot, pressing on our hands and our shoulder, and we're kicking our bottom out in space. So we're lifting ourselves up just enough to clear the floor so we can move our bottoms out. Now, if this was against a real person, of course, then we would pivot and then we would put our feet between us and them, and we would put them into what we call our guard. Now, a guard is a good position because your legs are protecting you from the other person. So let's check it out with my friend Sally, my Jiu Jitsu dummy. Now, Sally here is going to have me in side control. Instead of me putting my hands, in one place, I'm actually going to be pressing on her hip and pressing on her collarbone, but otherwise it's exactly what we've just been learning. So, Sally has me in side control. Maybe she's underhooking my head, maybe her other arm is on my stomach. What I'm going to be doing is pressing on her hip, pressing on her collarbone, but otherwise this foot, I'm going to be pressing on it, and we're going to just get out from under side control, just how we've been learning. Now, I forgot to mention, but that the leg that's upright is the leg that's farthest away from our opponent. So, again, slightly on my side, press at the hip, press at the collarbone, escape my hips, pivot, and get Sally into my guard. Again. Sally here's got me underhooking my head. Again, I'm posting on the leg that's farthest away from her. Pressing on her hip, pressing on her collarbone. I'm now framing, keeping my elbows in, pressing on this foot. Move my bottom out. Rotate. Now she's going to be in my guard. We also have another way where instead of having someone in your guard, you're going to build yourself up. Let's see if she sits up this way. So what I'm going to be doing without her is I'm going to be pressing, kicking my hip out, then this leg comes behind me, and this other leg. Now I'm going to be on my hands and knees. If this is a self-defense situation, I put one foot on the ground, I can get up, and I can run away. If we're doing Jiu Jitsu, and I'm on my hands and knees, now I can grab her legs and, you know, push her over. We call that a double leg. Again, I'm going to be holding onto her hip, holding onto her collarbone, pressing on this foot, kicking out my leg, bringing it out further. So now, even if she's pressing down on me, I've got frames. I can't be, you know, easily collapsed. So if I'm like this, she's pressing down on me, but she can't collapse me. I'm going to put one foot up and be able to get out. Like I said, if I needed to escape, I would. If this is a Jiu Jitsu tournament or rolling, I could grab her, push her aside, and do a takedown, even from my knees. The last use of the shrimp is if someone's on the mount. In this case, normally I'd have Sally sit on my stomach, but despite her having her new stripes, she still doesn't have very good posture. So we're going to actually have her sit on a chair, and I'm going to frame against the chair. So I'll be right back. In fact, there's a long, proud tradition of using lawn furniture to practice Jiu Jitsu. I'm gonna secure her in her chair, and she gets to sit there while I practice. Now, if you actually have a roommate, I would say have your roommate sit on you. But if you don't have a roommate, and you have somewhat of a floppy Jiu Jitsu dummy, he might use a garden chair. So we're going to be having, we're going to be underneath the chair, kind of like, someone was sitting on you. It's going to be the very same thing. We're going to turn to our side. We're going to press on the legs of the chair, and then we'll, kick our hips out from underneath the chair and, recover guard. So kind of just like when we're, doing the side control, but this is when you're using the shrimp to get out of the mount. So, a little more space here. Let's pretend someone is sitting on you. Okay. So, again, sitting on you. So they're going to have their hips right here. Again, I'm going to be on my side. I'm going to be putting both my hands kind of in a frame like this, and I'm going to be putting it on their hips, my foot on the floor, and I'm going to kick myself out. And then recover guard. Again. So you have someone mounting on you, sitting on you. You're going to be kind of on your side. You're going to be posting your hands on their hips, the one foot on the floor. You press, get your bottom out from underneath, and recover the guard. So, common mistakes. As I indicated earlier, we're using, framing against another person to kick our hips out, to create some distance, and then we can pivot and recover guard. One of the common mistakes that people might make when they're shrimping is, just moving their bottom in the air. What we really want to do is move our bottom laterally. Just moving our bottom in the air but not actually getting out from underneath where we're trapped might be one mistake. Remember, you're trying to move yourself. You're not trying to move your opponent. You're pressing against your opponent, to move yourself out of danger. Another common mistake would be when we were doing the pushing and then getting the leg behind us and then, building ourselves up that way. I didn't mention this, but you want to end up with your head pointing up towards your opponent. If your head is pointing towards your opponent, then they can't get to your side, they can't push you over. So really, I'm trying to get away from someone here, pushing, putting my leg behind me, getting to my hands and knees. Remember, they're over here, and so I'm pointing my head towards them. If I end up like this, and they're over here, they can, push me to one side, and then I'm not really out of any danger. And then I kind of hinted at this, but in Jiu Jitsu, you never really want to be on your back. Even if you're on the bottom, you always want to be on your side. First of all, you're harder to squish when you're on your side because your body kind of makes a natural frame. If you're down here, really hard to press. But if I'm kind of off to one side, well, it's easier to push off this bottom leg. It's also easier for me to just, establish a frame, get out, which is great because if someone is on top of you or on the, they have you in side control, they're really trying to press down. As much as possible, if you can maintain your, body stability, that's the best. That way it allows you to frame and to escape. So it might be just 3 things to think about. Stay on your side, always pointing your head towards your opponent if you're, building yourself up. And then, effectively moving out from underneath the person, not just, flipping around in space. So let's check them out one more time. We'll start with Sally here on the mount just to demonstrate. Again, someone has, they're sitting on you. Her hip would be down here. My foot is still upright. I'm still kind of on one shoulder. I'm going to be framing, pushing myself away, and recovering guard. Natalie has me in side control. There's two ways I can use the shrimp to escape. The first one, putting my hand to her hip, putting my hand to her collar bone, posting on this outside leg, shrimping, pivoting, and recovering her into my guard. The last one, posting, 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 move the leg, move it out further. On my hands and knees. Now I'm going to get one foot up. And then, as I said, I could run away if it's a self-defense situation, or if I'm down like this, I can grab her, put her side control, push her over, that kind of thing. So the shrimp is a very fundamental move, but being able to execute it properly should not be underestimated. I once went to a world championship. It was the Masters World Championship a few years ago. And in the run-up of the, getting ready for the tournament, I hurt one of my knees. But, I was going to go. I was going to compete. So when I got there, I was, fighting for this with this one woman, and the winner of this match was going to be the world champion. So, there's no big pressure there. But in any case, she took me down, and then she got onto the mount. Now, I'm a left-handed person, so when I frame, I'm always posting on my left leg. And of course, that was the leg that was injured. So she was sitting on me, and I could just, because of my injured knee, just could not effectively shrimp. Now, it did not occur to me in the heat of battle to try to shrimp with my other leg. I easily could have switched legs, gotten out from underneath the mount. Now, she did get 3 points, and then 2 points for the mount, or 4 points for the mount. So she was up ahead in points, but it was pretty embarrassing. She was sitting on me for 5 minutes, and I couldn't get out, and I was just, whatever. It was fine. She's a very nice lady. So, in the end, she got the gold medal, and I got the silver medal, but learn from my mistake. Even though you might favor one leg, I say, when you're rolling, evenly try to, shrimp from either direction. Because in the heat of battle, you might need to shrimp, using either knee, and, who knows what kind of a bad situation I'll get you out of. Well, thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Jiu Jitsu for Dummies. I look forward to hearing your comments. I do have a Facebook page, Natalie Woodson Jiu Jitsu. Reach out to me there. Love to hear your thoughts. And thank you for joining me again for another episode of Jiu Jitsu for Dummies.